Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We continue to trend up in the ES, very bullish trending structure so far, and price continues to hold above that major LVN at 25.40 and continues to push to new highs, and we're already testing the October high as we speak. As we mentioned before, this trend right here remains very bullish. Every pullback to the trigger zone remains a buying opportunity. Even if we were to swing back into this LVN below those lows, it would still offer an opportunity for bulls to defend and return it back to highs. So right now we're at recent highs. We'll see how much more strength we see out of this. Obviously 2600 is still above here, and from the recent low, from that Wednesday low last week, we still have more upside here. Based off of our average monthly range, which 2612 would be the average range target. So we still have much more upside here to see. But again, if there's any failure to hold above a previous month's high, that's usually an early indication that we swing back toward the previous month's midpoint. So that's something to keep in mind here as we head through the rest of the week. If we take a look at the NQ right now, this one has been quite bullish. We are still pushing higher. Obviously, tech earnings have been very strong for the most part, and we have some more earnings coming out after the bell, including Facebook. So we have much more strength here, perhaps to see ahead. But we finally reached that 100% target, the 62.64 half, the one we've been talking about for a while. This right here is our impulse range. In May, we formed that impulse move, that key range, and from there we had a measurement at 62.64. It took much longer to get there than expected, but eventually we got there. And the recent return back towards 60.20 was a great bounce opportunity and fulfilled that 265-point move that we were talking about. Now we have to see how much more upside we see. It appears price is kind of slowing down just a little bit at these highs, but again, we got to watch very closely. This is the previous month's high. That's the previous month's close. To begin the month, if there's any rejection there, there could be another return back toward the midpoint of the previous month's range, which would be about 61.10. So we'll keep an eye on this. Obviously, things are still trending up, so every pullback is still a buying opportunity. But right now, trying to find where that high is at the moment. If we take a look at crude oil, we finally got into 55s. Again, 55s was a target that we've been talking about for a while. Recently, we had a great trending structure here. We talked about any pullback right here could be a 4 to 5 week move back into the 54-55 zone. But once we get to 55s, I mentioned to our traders, prices above 55s, this market has just been allergic to those prices above 55s. It has nothing to do with it, doesn't want to really trade above that zone. Earlier this year was the best shot we had to really break through 55s, and it didn't happen. Instead, we went offered many times here. So right now, jumping into that LVN up here, that major CLVN, is going to be very important to see how the market responds, because if there's any rejection above 55, the longer term implication is for a return back to value. Right now, value is 49.26. Obviously, we wouldn't see that all in one straight shot, but that's something that could be a very real possibility if we start to see major signs of rejection up here in 55. So still watching to see how the market's going to react to the zone, and should there be rejection, we could be looking at a return at the very least back toward 52s with a longer term return back toward 49.26. Nothing to do just yet, but something to watch for now that we've hit a major edge. We take a look here at gold. One thing about gold here, we're back into the 1281s. That's about where we got to just before we sold off yet again. So last week here, when we had that failed new high, I mentioned a return at 1281 offers a drop toward 1262s, and we got that move. We're now back to that zone. Haven't really pushed to new lows. I mentioned before that chopping around value here, you have to be very careful because we could see more back and forth in this area before we see a decisive move to an edge. So again, we've been in a downtrending mode, and right now, we got to see how this market reacts. We've been stuck kind of between 1260 and 1290. above 1290 could squeeze this thing a little bit back toward 1300. But again, there's no real clear, decisive swing direction at this moment. So we got to continue to watch this one as it develops. One quick update here. Later on this afternoon, I will be hosting my monthly market outlook for November. It'll be right after the close, around 3:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Anybody and everybody is welcome to attend. We'll be using our Join Me code of PivotBoss, and you'll be seeing some tweets about it later on. So I'd love for you to join me later on. We'll be talking longer term ideas with these markets, and we'll also be talking stocks as well. So looking forward to seeing you all later on this afternoon. All right, we'll see how today turns out. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you soon.